Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Talk About Script podcast. This week entitled Seeking Divorce at the End of the Multiverse. With me, as always, is main event Charlie Carthy.
Yay!
And unfortunately, we are without Ali, but I'm sure we'll get by.
Boo.
Right. So today we're going to look at Michelle Yeoh. Because Charlie and I went to see the 25th anniversary of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So we'll start there. And then we'll move on to Everything, Everywhere, All at Once and some of her other roles. So, Charlie.
Man, I could not even believe it was 25th anniversary. It feels like I hadn't seen it for 20-ish years. I loved it, like, seeing it again. Really didn't get it as a kid.
No.
It was just strange flying martial arts then, but, like, I fully get... Oh, it's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Oh, it's magical and fantastic and very romantic and yeah, really lovely.
You're ever so slightly younger than me. So
Yeah.
I was at uni when it came. Oh, just before I joined uni. I think just it came out just before. And yeah, it was like the big foreign film event at the Oscars that year. Won best foreign film.
I remember it being everywhere.
Yeah.
When it was released, and capitalizing on the kind of I don't know if it's on the back of things like The Matrix, but there was a big input of like Chinese, Hong Kong, and martial arts based.
Yeah, it was kind of a
films.
resurgence in Hong Kong cinema. That's probably a podcast for another day in itself. But also, obviously, Crouching Tiger, importantly, launched Ang Lee as a director in the West. Gave Chow Yun-fat major exposure over here. Obviously, Michelle Yeoh herself and Zhang or Zhang Zi, I can never remember which way round it goes, became kind of everyone's obviously darling superstar for a while.
Yeah.
Went on to do Memoirs of a Geisha, Hero, House of Flying Daggers, etc., etc. Rush Hour 2. But can't actually speak English, so it never kind of stuck for very long. And also got cripplingly injured during the filming of Crouching Tiger.
Yeah, the those fight scenes, absolutely incredible, like incredibly fast. Even like when you see how they speed it up, it's like, how the hell do you move like that? And even more impressive considering that, these are the actors doing it. It's not like replacement stunt doubles.
Yeah,
I
can see why Zhang Zi, who plays Jen, got really badly injured during that, because I think she's like 18, 19.
Yeah.
And she's competing against,
Everyone.
Michelle Yeoh and these kind of more hardened martial artists who are considerably older than her. And imagine she probably had a dance background and they're flinging her around the wires and God knows what.
Yeah.
Just doesn't really have the physical stamina and strength to cope with the toll on it. I know it wrecked her back. She basically stopped doing martial arts after those kind of 3 kind of movies of Hero and Flying Daggers and Crouching Tiger.
Yeah, I can see. I can see why it would break human bodies.
Yeah.
But still, absolutely incredible. And I loved the matchup she has against Michelle Yeoh's character. I forget her name, but Jen, the Zhang's character.
Yeah.
How she fights Michelle Yeoh in the temple.
Yeah, with all the different weapons.
Yeah, going through the assortment of weapons. And when she grabs that great big hammer, can't lift it. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. So just for the people who haven't seen Crouching Tiger, I think I'm not sure what streaming service is on. I know that really, really awful sequel is on Netflix. But it was kind of part of the early 2000s I Want to Be a Foreign Film Fan kit, along with, Amelie, Pan's Labyrinth, Run Lola Run, and there are others, that kind of, City of God, of course, that kind of, hey, foreign film. But it basically is a Chinese fable fairy tale, which follows kind of a young girl who is...
Well, it's a hero who is trying to retire.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't feel the love for fighting anymore and giving away his legendary weapon. to pass it on, which then gets stolen by a rogue, who and that's who they have to basically hunt and chase down, and she's causing chaos. While trying to sort of find her own way without being under the influence of evil mentors and corruptors.
Like reverse Aladdin, isn't it? You've got like a princess pretending to be the rogue rather than kind of the other way around. And there's lots of little subplots in there about there's this criminal called I can't remember the full name. It's the something Fox, isn't it? That the police have tracked to this compound. Jade Fox, is it?
Yeah, the Jade. The Jade Fox.
And then obviously you've got the other story with Chow Yun-fat's character and Michelle Yeoh's character of this kind of unrequited love affair that never really went anywhere.
Duty before personal love.
A very kind of key theme of that type of cinema.
And the bandit.
Yeah.
The actual wild man.
Yeah, he's not near that much, is he?
No, not enough. But
not enough. Yeah.
But
the wild side of.
For Xi Zhang's character, who is this treated like royalty, almost as a princess who gets to live in a desert with a rogue that attacked her caravan and fall in love.
Is the wolf of the desert or something, isn't he? It's that kind of wild side to her character.
Yeah,
effectively.
But very much about like themes of like duty, legacy, bits of whether it's like to save or to get revenge on. It's about like this is for my next of kin, for my students, for my father. That kind of motivational drive for everyone, and learning how to they each have to sort of take their own destiny into their own hands.
And what I love about these quite limited number of films that are like this kind of poetic kung fu movies, is everything is almost like like the brushstrokes of kind of calligraphy and that kind of thing, which again Hero and Flying Daggers kind of do so well as well. Like telling that story, that kind of fable, and it's all poetic and all very like beautiful and eloquent and very precise. And I mean, held together by obviously those three key performances. Michelle Yeoh is kind of the backbone of the film. Yeah, kind of allows the character of Jen to kind of flourish around her, and then Chow Yun-fat kind of appears and disappears. Yeah, when required.
I don't want to fight anymore, but I kind of have to fight, and I kind of like it. So,
well, the reason for that, I'm pretty sure, is because Chow Yun-fat is not a martial artist. Yeah, so it's like come and do the acting scene. I know he does do some combat and stuff in there, but that would have been learnt, for the role. Yeah, come and do some acting, and then we'll let like Michelle Yeoh and others do all the fighty bits, and show kind of the strength of that side of their characters. So it's remarkably how it hasn't really aged either. Obviously it's set in ancient China. Yeah. So it but the look of it still looks beautiful. The flow still works well. The editing holds up. Yeah.
Beautiful with that. It's great with like the music's really lovely in it. Yeah. The choreography and the like wire fu effects. Yeah. And this is the part that I don't want to say it alienated me, but it didn't click with me when I first saw it as a kid. It's weird, it's goofy, but it's very obvious, like, these people are flying on wires and props and doing it themselves with very little or no CGI. But, and you pointed this out, is that adds to the fantastical nature, this dream-like feel of this fairy tale story. Of course, the hero and the villain literally fly through the forest, because that's what would be written in a book. They flew through the trees. They battled with the grace of the wind. Yeah. As they are literally standing on top of bamboo stalks, bending up and down as they clash swords. it's taking that kind of poetry and depicting it literally,
Yeah.
in a way that's not trying to say, "Hey, this is reality. This is what their reality looks like."
It's always baffled me that people can't get on board with this. Like, people will go and watch Marvel movies and perfectly accept like someone shooting lasers out their eyes, but they can't cope with someone who might like be jumping 2 stories. Or, like,
well, yeah, it's like when they're a normal person in an otherwise normal looking world, like. Okay, the dude with the giant, like, okay, this person's got a giant tongue, but their skin isn't slimy and green and looking like a toad, and they don't have a big metal plate across their face that shoots the laser. But it's also, again, that kind of. I mean, I was too young. I was too young the first time I watched it, like, to get.
It
the emotional tones.
It didn't come out to a dissimilar amount of time to the first Spider-Man movie. And there's literally people going, "Oh, they're just swinging through the trees. It's so unrealistic." And you're just like, "What?" You're quite happy for Spider-Man to do it.
But yeah, it's very much. It's I don't know. I can't speak for audiences that complain about that, but it's clearly wearing its fairy tale face.
Yeah.
And presenting itself as that, just Chinese fairy tale instead of American.
Crouching Tiger is one of a long series of books. I don't think they've been translated to the West.
Yeah.
But if you actually go and kind of look into it, it's not even the first book. It's like book 3 or book 4. And I think, I could be wrong about this because I haven't looked into it for a while, but I think the books are like named after the weapons. And it's really like the stories about how the different weapons like move from person to person. Because I know that the terrible sequel on Netflix is called like the Silver something or other. But obviously in this instance, the Crouching Tiger and the Hidden Dragon relates to kind of specific characters.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, one of them is like Jen means dragon in that language, so it's fairly obvious. Hidden Dragon.
Well, they did need to literally spell it out.
Yeah.
At like 2/3 of the way through the movie.
It's a beautiful title, though.
But yeah, it is. Beautiful movie. And yeah, I think because it's a fairy tale, because it's kind of real as well, like done physical and practical effects and props and choreography performed by the actors. That's what gives it that kind of timelessness.
It's very physical, isn't it?
Yeah.
There wasn't really much CGI kicking around in that type of era. I mean, obviously The Matrix, but, a lot of those movies just they wouldn't have been able to CGI it.
No.
We weren't at that level.
No.
Especially for a movie made outside of the Hollywood film system. There's very few Chinese movies that make it over here. To be fair, I don't know if it's whether it's made in the Chinese system or the Hong Kong system at that time. I think it was China mainland. Obviously, very different industries at that time. But it is incredible. And I mean, Michelle Yeoh's, that would have been her introduction to a lot of people in the West. I mean, obviously, if you know about Hong Kong movies, she's kind of been there for a long old time. And off the back of Crouching Tiger, both Yeoh and obviously Zizan got their big kind of payday, which is Memoirs of a Geisha. I mean, not massively critically well received and way too long and just generally questionable for a number of reasons. Also for the fact they had a Chinese person playing a geisha didn't go down very well, I seem to remember. And obviously Michelle Yeoh is also not Japanese, so they effectively, the main characters in a story about Japanese people were played by people who weren't from Japan, so I know it didn't go down particularly well. In a lot of parts, but it kind of did have that kind of big break for some of these actresses, and get them roles elsewhere.
I do remember the promotion being everywhere, all over TV and radio at the time, and again, I was just too young to like really connect with it.
I mean, Geisha's not the most amazing film in the world, but it's very pretty. It's not. It hasn't been on streaming for years either. So there's obviously there's a rights issue somewhere.
I was just looking up where we can watch Crouching Tiger. Unfortunately, it's not on one of the usual or prepaid ones. Okay. Sky Cinema or Now TV. It's available on that. and you can buy it or rent it on Amazon Prime.
Okay. If anyone does have access to Sky out there, by the way, it's worth searching. They seem to have got the rights to a lot of Hong Kong movies, so if it's worth searching, like Jackie Chan, Michelle Yeoh, stuff like that, you'll find that they've picked up a lot of the rights to the DVDs and Blu-rays that were being released by Eureka as kind of 4K and Blu-ray special editions. So it wasn't long ago you could get like literally every amazing Jackie Chan and Michelle Yeoh movie on there. So if they're still streaming stuff like Crouching Tiger and things like that, it's well worth a look. If you watch Crouching Tiger and decide you want something like to kind of trek back through and learn a bit more about that kind of type of martial arts cinema and things like that. I know Heroes on there all the time.
Yeah.
So, and, daggers. Michelle, I mean...
Going back to Michelle Yeoh, I mean, she's just... It's funny because that was my first introduction to her, and like I said, barely remembered it from a kid. But watching this film back now, it really does highlight. Oh, she really is the same kind of badass for the last 25 years. 25 years of films that I've known about.
25 years in Western cinema.
Yeah, just Western. Plus the history in her history in Hong Kong cinema.
Yeah.
Is whether she's playing these maternal figures or sort of younger, more like love interest for the main young hero, still got that level of authority.
Yeah.
And fire and without being loud about it. And, that's come across in like so many films now.
I think it helps with the fact Michelle Yeoh is a genuine, like, hardcore badass martial artist.
Yeah.
She's not a dancer that they've taught some moves to or whatever. It's something that she's studied for a very long time. And yeah, she always gravitates. She holds the screen when she's on it. I mean, I must admit, when I first watched Crouching Tiger, obviously all the promotion, all the fuss was about Zizang or but going back, you forget how much she's in it. Like, all the main scenes have got Michelle Yeoh in it, and obviously you have the huge fight scene in the temple, which you were alluding to earlier, where they just pick up every weapon imaginable and just go at each other full throttle. And you just, like, the mastery of getting that. I'd love to know how many takes all that took.
Yeah.
There must have been a few injuries on that one. But it's just the calm and mastery of every scene that she's in.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that Hollywood didn't bite on her sooner, to be honest. It's taken a really long time for them to actually go, oh, hang on, we can actually put her in everything effectively, and it kind of suddenly be successful. They've really woken up since, the Oscar wins, surprisingly enough.
Yeah. Well, even just leading up to it, there's those couple of years leading up to the Oscar win that you mentioned. Is that the next thing you want to talk about?
Yeah. So that's probably a good time. We should probably leave Crouching Tiger and just move on 1 second. So obviously Michelle Yeoh started cropping up in a lot of TV stuff and things like that, and little things here and there, Guardians 2 and blah, 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 blah. But the big surprise was obviously Everything Everywhere All at Once, which effectively came out of nowhere as far as I was concerned. It's kind of like Marvel were like, hey, we could do Multiverse. And then the Daniels were like, no, hang on. Let's just do this properly.
Yeah.
So not only did they get Michelle Yeoh to lead a movie, which was funded and made, they also got, obviously, K. Kwan out of retirement for his third main role ever.
Yeah.
After, obviously,
Indy
and Goonies, who's also a revelation here, and put some decent cast around, like Jamie Lee Curtis and things like that, and created possibly the most crazy, over-the-top film ever.
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
And when we say crazy over the top, it's the mad creative side of your brain that just goes, what if, but
yeah,
what if fingers but hot dogs?
Yeah, it's the difference between going, hey, what if this one small thing changed, then going, what if this changed, but then what if this changed, but then what if this changed, and just carry that on.
Yeah, what if things wildly change and people are still just normal?
Yes.
You know, they play piano with their feet.
Yeah, with their and she uses that skill well. So this is a hard one to describe, but at the basis of it, Everything Everywhere All at Once is really a film about connection. And I love the fact that for a very, very long time, the synopsis of Everything Everywhere All at Once was a middle-aged woman tries to do her taxes. That was the synopsis. So it's a multiversal adventure where basically you have Michelle Yeoh, who is married to Kei Kwan. They're going through some like family troubles.
Family troubles. I think they're getting audited.
They're getting
by the IRS.
but also there's a divorce pending. But Michelle Yeoh doesn't know this at the minute because Kei Kwan's walking around with the papers and he hasn't given them to her. She has a daughter who is gay, and there's that whole thing going on. And there's also the father, isn't it?
Yeah.
James Hong is just there in a wheelchair, like being there. So there's all this, and they run a laundrette, and there's laundry everywhere, and everything's super chaotic.
Yeah.
Being audited by the IRS.
And it's like it's just the everyday things of life piling up and wearing them down. Nothing too bad at stake. And then suddenly, Kei Kwan switches, like he just switches. And says, "Hey, I'm your husband, but not the husband that you married.
Husband from another dimension."
Yeah, and I've taken your husband's body to tell you that we need you
to save the entire multiverse.
Yeah,
I think it's broken into chapters. So the first chapter is called Everything. You can see how this is going to go, and it is. I always find that a struggle because it is overwhelming. If anyone out there has any form of neurodiversity. It's a lot, but try and stick with it.
Yeah.
It literally throws everything at you constantly.
When does that... So we've got what we've just been talking about is essentially like the setup and the theme stated part of the movie, which lasts... It's about... How long does it take for the multiverse to sort of kick in and become aware? Us to become aware of it. But it's close to half an hour?
It's a good half an hour, yeah. It's when they're in the IRS office.
Yeah. And then it suddenly shifts very quickly and jumps right into the madness.
It's hard to talk about too much without giving away key things. It's both incredibly crazy. It's one of those things where if you get to the end of it, you'll understand how it all comes together because it is literally... Sometimes you're microseconds in a multiverse. It flips through things so quickly.
Yeah. But the key thing that keeps happening with, they go Kei Kwan and sometimes Michelle Yeoh, they end up like it's like their brains or their consciousnesses hop between universes. And yeah, some of those sequences can fly through so quickly. But when they reveal like the threats that they need Michelle Yeoh's character to save them from,
Evelyn.
And Stephanie Hsu, who again, this is another big intro for her, because I've seen her on so many TV shows now, and being a lead or like a main supporting actress in it.
She's in Fall Guy.
Yeah, her entrance is it's insane, it's hilarious, and it is like it's creative. It's not, it's mad writers that are being allowed to be a bit mad.
I have no idea how they film this.
Yeah,
like, it's crazy. I don't get it.
Incredibly seamless transformations. Replacing this thing with this thing, this thing with this thing. I don't want to say what they are because there's so many, and you just got to watch it. It's part of the fun of security guard pulls out his gun and it becomes ...
Yeah.
Or it fires ... And yeah, that they really allowed to think outside the box. It's not like, oh, they've got a pistol, but it turns out to be like a musket instead. Like it's
just very, very surreal, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, and then that's the everything part.
Yeah.
How long does that go?
Oh, I'm trying to think when it stops. I think it runs until the film ends the first time, and then obviously when I could be wrong there, but I think then it restarts as Everything Everywhere, or I think. And then the all at once bit is right at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the final.
But there's a bit where movie star Michelle Yeoh and movie star K-Kwan are in that universe.
Yeah.
And the movie ends that they're watching
but
of them on screen.
Yeah, but then they go and have their conversation outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like you said, the theme that keeps coming up through every iteration of themselves and their family and the people in their world. Like you see every character that's introduced has their variants, to use the Marvel word, which really vary. But the thing that always keeps coming up in every universe, in every sort of conflict and scenario, is this is connections, and whether it's better, for each character feels like it's better or worse for themselves to open or close themselves off emotionally to each other. And that kind of theme of, I always got it's nihilism versus like love, or joy. The love, when when anything can be anything, what's the point? And that's the one side is saying, oh well, what's the point? And the other one is going like, what is the point? Let's find it.
It's like love and kindness, isn't it? Everyday kindness leading to small things leading to bigger things. That's kind of thing. But like the bad guy character is just a pure embodiment of nihilism, effectively.
And it's not even out of malevolence or evil, just
disinterest,
just not even disinterest, sadness,
just
sadness, loneliness. It's all played and acted incredibly well, and Michelle Yeoh's her character is so good at having that. She's been so strained and held herself back so much. Evelyn at the beginning of the film, she's held herself back so much to focus on the laundrette, to look after her father, to keep a functioning family unit, that it's she's not had time to actually connect with that family, to love with them, which is where the divorce comes in, the distance from the daughter, being gay. Oh no, it's just a phase.
It's the kind of lack of accepting of anything.
True accepting. It's like there's this surface level. But when she starts to get it and open up, you can see that sadness, that pain, and that this is, I'm really trying here. This is really hard for me, that kind of pain that she has, and it's incredible acting.
This is Michelle Yeoh's best role. I mean, there's no question from what I've seen anyway. There is no flaw in this film, and that's a big statement to make. But if you look at it, the script is incredible. The performances by everybody involved are incredible, because the film just wouldn't work if any aspect of the film was off. It wouldn't work. The editing is perfect. The pacing is perfect. The cinematography is perfect. For what they're trying to
the effects are invisible.
Visual effects are unbelievable. And considering it was edited on an old MacBook, on an old copy of Premiere Pro during lockdown, I can only imagine what that timeline looked like. So that in itself is an incredible achievement. The direction of the film, having to direct that, setting up those shoots, the production design, every aspect of this film is incredible. The fact that you're introduced to kind of all the very, very minor characters in the laundrette at the start, and then you don't even realise that, in one universe, they're all sitting in the cinema with them. In the next universe, they're assassins. In the next unit, it's the same group of people rolling round and round and round again.
Using those the same main actors, the same main cast, and the same extras.
Yeah.
The same extras again.
People over and over again.
And that's how you do a multiverse right. You go crazy, you go wild and imaginative, but use the same people and the same settings and transform them. How do they, not just physically, how do they look, how do they dress, what they do, but also their relationships with each other. Some of it's wildly different.
Yeah. And it's all set in an IRS office. There's like not a scene anywhere else once you get in. Once they get in the office, it's pretty much all.
Oh
in
no,
the
no,
office.
no! Oh no, they go.
Yeah,
No, they
every
go
now and
out.
then.
They do go. It's between that and the laundrette.
Yeah,
They keep going back. They
end.
keep going
Yeah,
back to the laundrette, but then there's trying to say it without spoiling. Obviously, the other universes have their particular settings based on their scenarios.
Yeah. Where's the cinema? Isn't there?
So there's the cinema. There's the alley outside.
Yeah.
There's the kitchen. With the chef character.
Oh God.
Which I love. Oh my God, that nearly made. I got so sad. I got so sad when his friend got taken away.
Oh dear.
And so hopeful with it.
The hibachi version of.
Let's not say, but I loved it, and it was beautiful, and it hit me the way the original, the original stories did.
That's the parodying of stuff is incredible.
Yeah, the desert and the Grand Canyon.
Oh yeah, the rocks.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a great scene with just the rocks. So yeah, they keep going around. There's the IRS office. There's I can't remember if it's that same one where they find the really posh office with the guy with the certain proclivities.
It's all in the same building.
Yeah.
So one version of Evelyn never leaves the building.
Yeah.
So it's you forget, some of the conversations they have about their relationship and stuff are slightly different versions of them in different places.
Yeah.
It's hard. It is hard to follow, but it doesn't actually matter. This sounds crazy because people always go, "Oh, I got lost." I'm like, it doesn't actually matter that you get lost watching it at times because the theme is quite simple and the theme is about connection and coming together. And by the end of it, it all works through.
Yeah. And also the characters are lost. They're confused. Not just Evelyn, not just Michelle Yeoh.
No, they're all a bit lost.
They're all lost, and they're all wondering, well, what do I do now? What is this now? Where is this now? Who do we follow? Who do we trust? What's our next move? So if you do find it a bit confusing, do stick with it because it does come back together.
It is exhausting though. I have to say, even though it is one of my favorite films ever, but I watched it again the other day, and once I got to that 2-hour mark, I was like, oh, this is a lot, and it does take it out of you. But then you kind of break through to that final bit, and it's all worthwhile.
Yeah, I still think it's paced really well. It's the kind of thing that you need to feel. You feel that exhaustion at the same point.
Yeah.
Evelyn does.
Yeah, it's not a it's important to note it's not a pacing issue. It's they're trying to overwhelm you.
Yeah.
They're trying to make you feel overwhelmed and to the point of kind of breaking with it, and then it kind of gives you that release from that.
Yeah.
So it's not a poor pacing issue at all.
And I really liked that.
And it's nice to see how recognised it was.
Yeah.
So the Oscars hasn't been too bad in the last few years, I have to say. But
that was one of those films that won how many?
I can't remember. I think it was 13. I know it swept the board in all the major categories.
Yeah.
Michelle Yeoh won her Oscar
but it really
deserved.
It was it's swept the Oscars that year.
It won almost everything that it was nominated for.
Let's have a look. So Best Picture, Best Actress in a Leading Role, Best Directing, Best Actor in a Leading Role. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. Best Actress in Supporting Role. There's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Slightly controversial that one was, but yeah.
I don't. Do you think
it was compared to who she was up against? But I mean, she's obviously
against
great
Stephanie Hsu, or
no, it was she was up against Stephanie Hsu, also nominated, so two from the same film.
Yeah,
there was a couple of other.
That's hard. Best Writing.
Yeah, can't argue that.
No, that's Screen Actors Guild Award, Screen Actors Guild, Academy Award, Best Editing.
Yeah. They got Best Director as well, I think. So
I'm just looking at the Academy Awards at the moment because on this list I'm seeing it's just full of it. But yeah, Best Picture, Actress, Actor, Supporting Actress, Director, Writer, and Editing. 7.
Pretty much,
7 Oscars plus God knows how many Golden Globes and a lot of Screen Actors Guild Awards.
And it's nice to see that Hollywood, that the Oscars actually saw sense and gave Michelle Yeoh the Best Actress award, while the BAFTAs gave it to the same old for Kate Blanchett's performance in Tar.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask what else was it up against?
So
at the time?
nothing. I mean, Kate Blanchett's an incredible actress.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Tar is an incredibly powerful film, but it's the same old type of same old type of performance, the award-worthy performance when they could have done something fresh and new.
Yeah, you had that. You had The Whale. All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah, it was a good year for movies.
Yeah, good movies, but like, there's a certain type that the Academy seems to like.
Yeah.
And that a lot of these films were made and released and done very well for. And it was great to see that they still gave loads of these awards to Everything Everywhere.
Yeah, by the way, I mean, All Quiet on the Western Front is incredible, by the way. I think that won Best Film at the BAFTAs that year, and I can't really argue that because, that was incredible, that film.
I mean, you sort of coming back to the exhaustion from Everything Everywhere, like All Quiet on the Western Front. I still can't brace myself emotionally to watch it.
Oh, it's such a good film.
Like I know it will be, but I know it's gonna wear me out and depress me. And I would rather be worn out from multiverse hopping.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Everything Everywhere is definitely more fun.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's also like, it's not afraid to have fun and have hope.
No.
An uplifting ending, even if it isn't perfect, because life isn't, it's still hopeful. And, it speaks to that theme of nihilism versus hope. Everything matters or nothing matters.
Yeah.
And that some of the other films, I guess, like ones like All Quiet on the Western Front or The Whale, reveling in the maybe not nihilism, but reveling in the sadness.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a bit of that now at the Oscars this year. Nihilism rules. If you look at, it's great to have them nominated, but unless Wicked's going to win Best Picture, I mean, you've got The Substance and Anora and all of those others, and they're all great and amazing, but they're not very happy.
Yeah.
The Substance is not a happy film, and Anora, as much as it's a masterpiece, it's sad.
We definitely need a podcast nearer to the award show where we both watched a lot. You've been catching up on them.
I've only got a few left now, so
yeah, but at least these prominent ones. But yeah, overall, I think, that sort of comeback this year. But then we need more podcasts talking about other films this year. Maybe I've heard the word reckless positivity used to describe.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of
superhero ones coming out in July, and a bit sooner. But yeah, sort of circling back to the original point that let's award and pay something for uplifting.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Hollywood, the Oscars have got it right for a few years in a row at that point.
Yeah.
So it all started really coming out of COVID when Coda won Best Film, and everyone was like, "Oh, how can Coda win Best Film?" I'm just like, just stop it, okay? You want that miserable Power of the Dog thing to win awards? Just have a word. Coda is beautiful. Get on board. We're just coming out of COVID. Give everyone a break. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I can't remember what one in 2022, but it was something. Or was that one? Was that one Everything Everywhere one?
That was 23.
So Everything Everywhere won in 23. But
Coda was 20. Was that 21 or 22?
21. We had a run. There was 3 movies which I was a little bit unsure about. Were going to win. And I will just try and look at it. But then obviously Oppenheimer won after Everything Everywhere. But that was the best film that year.
Yeah.
So unless you're going to give it to Barbie, but I think Oppenheimer was probably the best film that year. Let me just see what won in best film. Oh, Coda was 2022. Okay, so Everything Everywhere was 2023. Oh, Nomadland. Okay,
Nomadland.
so it was
okay.
2021 was Nomadland. So again, quite a different film.
Yeah.
Actually, quite an uplifting film in its own way. Very different to what the Academy normally goes with. Quite a beautiful film. So you think you got that run of Nomadland, Coda, Everything Everywhere, obviously Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Which is more of the standard one, but an incredible feat. But I don't think really you can argue with those, generally speaking.
No, I wouldn't.
And I was so happy when Everything Everywhere won. I mean, really, I was really happy that Michelle Yeoh won that because I think like she deserved that.
She deserved it.
Yeah.
After decades of being an on-screen badass in just about everything she's in.
So I think we should move on from Everything Everywhere and just kind of sum up some of our other kind of favourite roles. So we will do that. So Charlie, if you want to kick us off with like some of your favourite Michelle Yeoh roles or moments.
So before Everything Everywhere, like it was, I think when it came out, it was before COVID. I started watching and found Star Trek Discovery. It was initially released on Netflix and is now it's been taken off and put on Paramount Plus, which I think you can get through Amazon Prime, but it's its own streaming service. But grew up
with adverts.
Yeah.
$7.99 a month plus adverts in the actual ad breaks where they would be on a normal TV show. Ugh.
But having grown up around, maybe not really in Star Trek, like a show that, a series that was coming out as I was watching it and enjoying it, this was amazing. It was, if you've seen like those J.J. Abrams movies, this one does it right. Modern retelling of a prequel story set 10 years before the Kirk era stories. Following a commander on a ship, and Michelle Yeoh is in the first 2 episodes as the ship's captain and the mentor of the main character. I'm trying to remember her name, but she was the one, she left The Walking Dead for it.
Oh, okay.
Michelle Yeoh plays Captain Philippa Georgiou. And the first 2 episodes open with the war starting with the Klingons. Time jump adventures happen later. I wanted to say what happens and what happens with Georgiou, but try not to spoil it. She goes away for a while and then comes back very different. Some multiverse shenanigans are involved, but comes out literally kicking all of the ass and being literal royalty, and just commanding the screen presence, as in her against Jason Isaacs, competing for who is the most like powerful screen presence and commander and authority figure, all in this incredibly well designed and shown Star Trek setting. She made such an impact, and clearly from those first couple of episodes, that pilot, and then coming back, that they kept her on for the series going forward. I'm talking about events that happened in season 1. I believe it came out in like 2017 or 18 or so.
It's a lot to catch up on then.
Yeah, but they only did a few. I think they're on their 5th and final season at the moment. My recommendation is watch the first 2. The first 2 are during that prequel era. Then they do a big thing happens. It changes the kind of setting where the ship, the Discovery, and all of her characters are. And partway through season 3, this is, I'm trying to remember what year it was, but it was around about or just before the time of Everything Everywhere. Mm-hmm. Michelle Yeoh clearly had to leave, had other schedules. So there was talk that they were going to give her a spin-off series. They did a send-off episode for her involving lots of old classic Star Trek and previous Discovery callbacks. Gave her a send-off and said, don't worry, she's got off on her own adventures now. And and now it's going to be Section 31. Then Everything Everywhere came out.
Yeah.
Then she won an Oscar. Guess what would have happened then? So yeah, that was several years, I know, in development. And it was supposed to be all about the secret spy agency that of the Federation, the Black Ops, where Michelle Yeoh would be. She was Giorgio was a commander, and so she would be the morally grey anti-hero side.
And now we've got that kind of weird movie that they've brought out that everyone's trying to forget about.
Yeah, that seems to be their attempt at doing Star Trek but Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Which I can understand why they do it, but the series does a great job. Season 2 of Discovery does a great job of setting up Section 31. Giorgio is a great character in it. She can't help but steal the screen in every scene that she's in, and just it makes it fun and funny and incredibly badass fighter in it. Still lots of martial arts. She does a lot more punching and kicking rather than phaser blasting.
Gotta get your money's worth.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, telling off all the boys in Section 31 and bossing them around, even though they're like higher up the chain of command. Basically, her character goes from being a noble captain, inspiring captain, to I don't care. I don't care what you think because you're wrong and you'll get proven and I'll laugh.
Indeed.
And so that was just a joy to watch her in.
So some of the other things she's been in recently. So obviously she's in Wicked, but we haven't got Ali here, so we can't really.
Yeah,
can't talk about Wicked without Ali being here, or they will get annoyed with us. But if you've got Netflix, Michelle Yeoh pops up in The Brother's Son.
That's another great surprising series.
That's got some great scenes in that. It's well worth checking out. She's not in it that much. She's kind of the matriarchal character, funnily enough.
Yeah.
But it is well worth watching. So the scene in the driving range is incredible.
Yeah, that was great. If you like John Wick, and you like Shang-Chi, and
there's a lot of like one-shot kung fu sequences, aren't there? Like non-cutting, really long fight sequences without cuts.
Yeah, and this kind of I'm trying to think of what the comedy is like, what to compare it to. But it's funny and it's kind of it's personal and never talks down to you or to its characters.
It's very violent as well, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. And the good episodes and the good moments are great within it.
So the story of that is it's about a hitman or an assassin who's a great, high prominent member of the triads in China, has to go to America to protect and his mother, who's living there, with his little brother, who's grown up in America, and who's got this soft
high school kid,
like,
geek,
or early, like just getting into uni, kind of. He's that kind of age, and all he wants to do is improv.
Yeah, improv comedy is great.
Yeah. So getting to see the brothers paired up, great pairing there, getting ridiculous scenarios, and Michelle Yeoh just taking command of both of them in these, essentially, while speaking English the entire time. They keep going back to English and Chinese, but it's like she's speaking two different languages to these two different brothers in it, while both being completely in charge of both.
While continually disposing of bodies.
Yeah.
just like hacking away.
Yeah, she's unbothered by all of the chaos and destruction.
But yeah, the scene in the golf driving range is an amazing action sequence. Also, if you want something slightly less violent, if you roll over to Disney Plus, you can get I just completely slipped the name of what it is. The retelling of Monkey, American Born Chinese.
Yeah.
So American Born Chinese, which is basically a retelling of Monkey, which in itself is a TV version of Odyssey to the West,
Journey to the West.
The West. where they've basically taken the setting of Monkey being thrown out of heaven, I guess, and but it turning into a high school student and meeting up with just an ordinary guy, and then every now and then you get like the whole cast of Everything Everywhere turning up. So like Stephanie turns up as like one goddess, and Michelle Yeoh is a different goddess. I don't think. Oh, K-Kwan's in it as well. Yeah, they literally. I remember this because there was a news story where Disney literally signed the whole cast, pretty much.
Wow.
To put them in this show to give it like a real boost. K-Kwan is playing a weird. K-Kwan plays a character who is like an old school Chinese actor on American television, so putting on the silly accent and always being clumsy and being the fool of like a really degrading role. And he's like a TV character, but yeah, it's funny. Not all the episodes are amazing. I think it's been renewed for a second season. It's definitely good enough to be.
Yeah.
Whether they can afford to keep the entire cast of Everything Everywhere on Disney Plus money, I'm not quite sure, but we'll see. I think Brother's Son. I mean, I haven't heard about it being cancelled. I'm sure that was set for a second. But, never know with Netflix, do you?
No, we don't.
It's almost as bad as Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Bring back the peripheral. Oh. But yeah, there's all that kicking around. And she does pop up everywhere, doesn't she? She's done voice acting for stuff. She's a Kung Fu Panda, of course.
Yeah.
One of the voices in Kung Fu Panda. And yeah, but the real thing you should be looking for, and if you're lucky, it'll still be on Sky, is Police Story 3. So I know Michelle Yeoh. I've got a bit of a background with Hong Kong cinema, and they did a thing where they tried to launch her as like the Hong Kong version of Indiana Jones in this film called Magnificent Warriors, I think it is, and that wasn't great because it looks quite rapey. In all honesty, they just didn't have the budget or the effects to do that kind of thing. And then she became kind of like a cop character, and I think the translation is "Yes, Madam" for the name of this cop show. But it's really the martial arts are awesome, and that kind of then ties into. You might be a bit young for this, Charlie, but there was a whole thing where you had Cynthia something or other who played a character called China O'Brien, who was like a kung fu police officer.
Oh, okay. I don't
thing.
know.
But that kind of, it's all tied in with that kind of action vibe. But Yes, Madam is actually really good.
Yeah.
I mean, the dialogue's not the best, but the action sequences are great. But the kind of breakout role in terms of wider appeal, back when we were watching all these movies from rental shops and things like that, was in Jackie Chan's Police Story 3. Where she plays another police officer that Chan ends up working with. And the stunts are amazing. Now, again, police story movies are known for their crazy stunts, and known for being copied by Hollywood quite considerably. So the Police Story 1, the scene at the start of Police Story 1 where they smash through a load of favelas or whatever is nicked by the movie Tango and Cash. And then there's some stuff from Police Story 2 that's used as well. But Police Story 3... as well as being full of just absolutely crazy Jackie Chan stunts, has the pinnacle of Michelle Yeoh's stunt career, which is where she actually does this. She rides a bike, like a dirt bike, and jumps it onto a moving train, onto the roof of the moving train.
And they actually filmed her doing this.
And she did it, and she'd never ridden the bike before. And they were just like, "Oh, just get on it and you'll be fine." She was like, and she's spoken about it before, and she's like, "Oh, you just did it. It's Hong Kong. You just did it. It's no help yourself." And she falls off the bike as well, and almost falls off the train. And it's just like, "Oh, great, that's great." Like great action. The bike gets completely destroyed. So they almost killed her, basically. It's also the film where they throw her out of a helicopter onto the bonnet of a moving car, and she almost dies. And you can see it in the outtakes where she gets thrown out of the helicopter, she hits the windscreen, and the windscreen doesn't collapse as it's meant to, and she bounces off the car. So
oh no,
Jackie Chan's driving this car at whatever speed, and he actually holds her onto the car. But yeah, because or else she would have literally
bounced off and been
on the road.
Yeah.
And they always say, like, any movie with Jackie Chan, you always watch the credits because you got the outtakes of where everyone almost died.
Yeah.
And
Jackie Chan saves him in real life.
But yeah, Michelle Yeoh, and of course she pops back up and they do another how many takes of it.
Yeah.
But it's just like, hey, we've got this great idea. We're going to throw you out of a helicopter onto a moving car. Oh, that wasn't good enough. We're going to jump a dirt bike onto a moving train. And the train, I've shown you the clip, Charlie, but it is out there. It is out there, Police Story 3. I'd say it was on Sky not so long ago. You can get Blu-ray of it. But just that clip, if you type like Michelle Yeoh jumping onto a moving train, she actually did it. There is no CGI there. There is no stunt double. There's no models or anything like that. She is on her bike jumping onto a moving train. So next time you see Tom Cruise like leaping off a mountain and parachuting onto a train, just think, it's not quite the same, is it?
Yeah.
It is not quite the same. But it's a good film away from that as well.
Yeah.
Story 3. It's starts with an absolute kick-ass prison break and then just kind of ramps it up from there. And sometimes you catch it on Channel 4 quite late at night as well.
Okay.
So it is around. It is around, but it's one of the better ones.
And is this a like? Is Jackie Chan and Michelle are they like opposites in approach and in policing style? Are they the only two that can actually work together, or does she have ties to the particular villain? Or?
I think no. He has to. I'm trying to think what the full plot is. I think what's happened is the prison break has happened.
Yeah,
and he has to go to like a different district or a different area to work to find them. And obviously, she's the police officer they put him with.
Okay,
so it's one of those like, hey. But she's quite straight-laced but badass, and he's just like always causing chaos. But no, there's not a massive amount of like friction.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like
it's that like it's yeah. I just want to see if they've got that duality or that odd couple kind of.
Yeah, there's not a lot of humor
syndrome.
there, I have to say. So the Police Story movies do have a bit of it in, especially with Detective Chan. Has a girlfriend that he keeps like meeting at weird places. Like she thinks, I think he has to go undercover. I'm just trying to think. She thinks he's like away somewhere, and he ends up going to the same place that she's gone on holiday, but he's with Michelle Yeoh. And it's like this whole like, oh no, and this kind of thing. So there's this weird relationship that they have throughout the three films. That kind of some of Hong Kong humor does not translate that well, it must be said. I don't find to a Western audience, but the Police Story movies have a little bit of that, but they're quite serious films as well. So there's a little bit of slapstick, but mainly it's action and kicking people in the face, jumping onto moving trains. But Police Story 3, also you don't have to watch them in order. That it's just like it's the same character, but all the stories are completely disconnected.
Yeah.
So you can start with Police Story 3. So if it is available, it's it's not the plot. You're not going to get confused. Villains don't carry over. It's almost like different episodes of a long running TV show. They
don't throw in a post credit scene about like the next one.
No, there's nothing that connects them apart from Jackie Chan. Basically, and a couple of characters that recur, but they don't even reference like plot points that have happened or development points of characters that have happened in other shows. So you can literally just pick them up and watch them in any order.
So it's just here's another one.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's carried on because Chan made like New Police Story, and I think there was another one as well. And there are some movies which in Hong Kong are classified as Police Story, but over here have got completely different titles. So we have it as the trilogy, but I think there's like Jackie Chan's First Strike, I think in Hong Kong is actually Police Story 4.
Okay.
So it's just, there really is no rhyme or reason to it. Just have a good time, everybody. Just
whatever sells copies and just gets you watching it.
Yeah, I think that's because if it got a cinema release and if they'd have put Police Story 4, people wouldn't have gone and seen it.
Yeah.
I think that's it's not great.
Yeah, what kind of major franchise starts on episode 4?
Yeah, it's like Henry VIII. You're never gonna. Someone genuinely said to me the other day about Ocean's 11 that they weren't going to watch it until they'd seen the previous. I was just like, it's not Fast and the Furious. Calm down. It's 11 because there's 11 of them. Not number 11. Yeah. You can't help some people. Right, Charlie, any final thoughts?
No, I mean I've talked about the main things that I want to, it's always great to talk about Michelle Yeoh. Talked about the great work that I've loved from her. I need to find copies of these old Hong Kong films. Ones that can actually run on my computer.
See, I lent Charlie a copy of Police Story 3, and his PlayStation is obviously getting on a little bit because it couldn't read the disc.
Yeah,
couldn't get through the Blu-ray layer. So like that's tragic in itself.
It is. It's keeping me from the bike stunt.
Yeah.
And
you should take the Blu-ray player home.
Yeah, the one that we've got.
Yeah.
But yeah, and looking up being able to find them. But it was great, and great to revisit Crouching Tiger.
Yes.
Great to having watched Everything Everywhere for basically since the first time.
Mm-hmm. Stays with you though, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not a film I watch all the time.
Yeah, and but happy to recommend it to everybody.
Everyone should watch both Crouching Tiger and Everything Everywhere All at Once. They are both stone cold, timeless classics.
Yeah. And even the other ones, like you want your kung fu films, Police Story is going to be good for that, from the sounds of it. You want your modern John Wick style action, Brother Son brings it in spades. You want your sci-fi, Star Trek is amazing. Again, watch Discovery more than the Section 31 movie. Yeah, and just can't wait to see what she comes out with next.
Yes, indeed. We await with bated breath, as long as it's not another really bad Crouching Tiger sequel. Yes, so we will see. I'd imagine now she's going to have a fair few offers. You know, we've got the DC universe kicking off. We've got, obviously, she's been in the MCU already.
Yeah.
They're not against recasting people, are they? I mean, she's been in it twice as well, because she's in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi.
So I guess
maybe James Gunn needs to give her a job in
but
somewhere.
Also,
DC.
we have a Shang-Chi sequel,
yeah,
don't we? Which totally won't have the other, we won't get into other American Chinese actresses who totally won't be in that film.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that another day.
But another excuse to be in a film full of martial arts and stunt work that she could, that she could perform in.
I suspect she might have a more prominent role now.
Yeah,
than she did before.
Yeah. And would also be easy to run through the de-aging process, since she barely has.
Has always looked between 35 and 40, no matter what age she actually is, forever. Just even now or then or whenever it was.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised in the stunts that she does. So, right, I think we'll leave it there. I have no idea what we're going to talk about next.
When are the Oscars?
That's a very good question. It will depend.
We will need to do an update show of the main films.
We might do a show of what won and what should have won.
Yeah. We should probably do that when the award show comes out. Other
than that, we have Captain America coming out.
We have Captain America. That will be worth talking about. Maybe with do we want to do?
We'll think.
Yeah, we'll think of a theme for it.
Yeah.
We could do adaptations. We could just do Anthony Mackie or Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford films.
Do Anthony Mackie, we talk about Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone out there who's listening to this, we always have the option for you to text us.
Yeah.
So by all means,
what would you like us to talk about?
It's on the website there. It'll be up there saying send a message. So feel free to give us your thoughts on the situation, and we'll see what we can do. We haven't talked about Monkey Man much yet.
No,
we'll do that after the Oscars.
Yeah.
How we can talk about how it should have won Best Director and wasn't even nominated.
Yeah.
So we will go from there. Righty ho, everybody. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Ta-ta.